Reports of child abuse have dropped across the Bay Area, which is seemingly good news. But county officials say it's actually a disturbing trend. It doesn't mean there are fewer cases. It just means there are fewer calls as we shelter at home. Here's investigative reporter Candice Nguyen.
School closures and distance learning have made it so millions of students no longer have those face-to-face relationships with trusted adults other than their parents. We're talking about teachers. When it comes to child abuse and neglect at home, teachers are often the first ones to notice and report it.
One morning, I was greeting kids and this child just blurted out, "Oh, my face, my neck really hurts this morning, Mrs. Dorsey."
Brandon Dorsey, a Bay Area first grade teacher, says it was the worst teaching day of her life.
I looked down and I could see his face was swollen. He had visible marks on his neck. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what happened? And then he told me how he was hit at home.
Dorsey says she and her principal determined the child was in immediate danger and called 911. She says this kind of abuse may happen more often than you might think.
There was a time that a student just shared out in the morning, "Oh, my dad was beating my mom last night."
Do you think she would have been able to do that over a Zoom call?
Absolutely not.
Our investigative unit compiled data from multiple Bay Area counties showing calls to child abuse hotlines have dropped since California sheltered at home. During April, the first full month of the stay-at-home order, Contra Costa County's numbers dropped by about 50% compared to the same month last year. 42% in Santa Clara County, 46% in San Francisco County, and 27% in Alameda. Statewide, child abuse hotline calls fell 45%.
It was so abrupt, it was so massive at every angle.
Kathy Marsh is the director of Child Family Services in Contra Costa County.
So with the shelter in place and children not being seen at school or not having in-person visits with their therapist or even medical provider, they're not able to report because they're not seeing the same things.
Across the board, teachers and school personnel as mandated reporters typically call in the most child abuse reports. Is there still the fear that some of the most dire cases of abuse are still falling through the cracks?
We worry about that because without being out there to know who are these children, where are they.
Marsh says this change in reporting is more worrisome when family pressures at home may be building.
And we know there's a correlation between domestic violence and child abuse.
Parents are still struggling. Families are still struggling.
Carol Carrillo is executive director of the Child Abuse Prevention Council for Contra Costa County. She says, like so many things have changed as a result of COVID-19, so will the way we detect and report abuse. For instance, teachers doing distance learning may consider asking students different questions.
Like, who all had breakfast today? Who all had lunch today? How are you feeling today?
Or neighbors, Carrillo says, can be more vigilant. She doesn't advocate for over-reporting or tattling, but if there is concern about a child's safety, she says you can call your county's child abuse hotline to figure out the best course of action. If you believe the child is in immediate danger, she says call police.
We never tell people they do more damage. You always want to err on what is the safety of the child.
After teaching for 20 years, Dorsey says nothing can replace classrooms.
It's just really difficult to know that part of our job is to help kids, and that's taken away from us because of this crisis.
As a neighbor, it can feel uncomfortable getting involved in someone else's family problems. But experts say when it comes to a child's safety, everyone is considered an essential worker. For resources and guides, go to NBCBayArea.com/investigations. Candice Nguyen, NBC Bay Area News.